Welcome to the CCTA Wake Up Call. We appreciate your joining us. I'm Bob Griswold.
Mary Griswold.
Kim Fink.
Glenn Fink.
Well, again, welcome. Mary, you're going to lead us off.
One of the issues that has recently come to our attention in North Carolina is the issue of casino gambling. Do we want it? Do we not want it? Who's pushing for it? And who's against us? And Kim is a major researcher, and she has all kinds of information for us.
Well,
I
think rather than just saying you're a major researcher, it hit a hot button.
Trigger.
Okay.
Trigger. Part of that is because everything that seems to get tied to money and buying the legislation and the rules of the state is just really the big trigger for me. And it just seems like this gambling, as well as with the medical marijuana, are issues that are being governed by lobbyists and out-of-state money versus our elected representatives representing their constituency. I think the people that live in the area should have a say in what goes on and what kind of growth happens in their communities. But anyway, in going down the rabbit hole of gambling in North Carolina, it brought some questions to my mind, like how long has gambling been in North Carolina and who governs them? And they are governed by the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act that didn't become effective until 1988, which is really funny because I watch a lot of old Westerns and they all have gambling on them. So it just made me kind of curious. So now I got another rabbit hole to look down to see if gambling was made illegal, like drinking was, and then legal again. But then I started to wonder, why is it that only the Indians are allowed to have the casinos on their land? And it turns out that the Indian reservations are considered their own sovereign land, and they don't have to answer to the state because they have tribal sovereignty.
Nor the federal government. Yeah.
That's why they can sell cigarettes without the tax.
However, one of our casinos is federally recognized, which is an interesting point. But with quick facts on the casinos in our state, we have 3 currently, and the tribes that have gambling compacts with the state is 2. The first casino opened in 1997.
That's with Cherokee?
In Cherokee, yeah. And there's only one federally recognized tribe in North Carolina, is I guess what I'm trying to say with that, and it's the Cherokee Indians. They are the only recognized tribe federally, but statewide we also have the Cherokee Indians, and in North Carolina the Lumbee Indians are also getting the status of recognized, which is why the Lumbee tribe is potentially going to be able to have a casino around the Lumberton area. I am not sure if the current legislation has anything to do with that particular one, because it's not specifically mentioned, so I'm not sure on that. But then the next question that I had, and it shows my ignorance in so many levels, was why on earth is the North Carolina budget caught up in whether we should have a casino or not? And I asked my illustrious husband, and he has the answer.
Well, I mean, the budget, I understand there's 2 courts on that. It's our House members, and I think this was brought up last week.
House versus Senate. Mm-hmm.
The House wanting to lower state taxes through the way we've always done it, and just a little at a time, continue to get it as low as possible. And then you got the Senate that wants to replace that income with, go ahead and reduce it fast, replacing that income loss with these casinos. And I know it was stated last time that although you might get a lift in income, that may not be sustainable. And there are so many social issues that are attached to these things that Kim researched and found that really you can't overlook.
There's a lot of pros and cons, and we can all go around on that for the issues that the proponents and the opponents have to say. And the social economic impact of the casinos inside of the reservation has been a positive, and in some areas has brought some of the young people back to the reservation. So in that aspect, it's a good thing. But some of the comments that were made at the rally last Tuesday that we're also going to talk about, the comments were made that the cultural impact to the area to be impacted: crime, drugs, drinking, drunk driving, the proximity to a special needs school for the one in Rockingham County, the employment. They say they were going to have so much employment, but if they look at the individual jobs, a lot of the jobs, especially in the management, is considered skilled labor. So are those jobs going to be local, or are they going to be imported? So that was an issue with the people as well.
Kim, on that skilled labor, I know when, again, going back, we were in Massachusetts when they brought in the one-armed bandits into the racetrack near us. And as you just said, the skilled labor had to come from the existing gambling industry, because these are people that know how to run gambling. Now, that's not something available to the local folks. Sorry.
Right.
Well, and one thing that, I don't know if this is the best place to interject it, but a stat that Kim shared was that most of the people that gamble live within a 30-mile radius of the gambling place. And I guess that probably 90% of the people that gamble lose their money.
Yes.
But the stat was like 87%,
Yeah,
86%. So now you've got this thing going on where it is negatively impacting families
Yes.
that live close to these casinos. Now, I know that's personal choice. I don't want to, but we don't need to set people up to fail. And I think that should be an overwhelming consideration when you're talking about moving into a community.
And not to create economic class division, but generally the ones that are losing the money are the lower income class, where they think they're going to hit big. Yeah. And I mean, the state is already sustained with whether it's Powerball, Megabucks, or all the, quote, state education funds.
Yeah. One of the things that we saw, our kids were stationed in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina, and FEMA immediately gave every person who was a resident of New Orleans, I think it was $3,000. I don't remember the exact amount. And immediately all the strip clubs and gambling casinos started doing a wonderful business, because the people that were given that money did not understand about money management and how to handle things and how to plan for the future. How many people living in the immediate radius of these gambling casinos are going to be people who maybe don't have the background in fiscal responsibility and are going to wind up on the welfare rolls after they gamble all their money away?
True. Now, to go back to the economic impact, that is so many fingers on that hand of the economic impact. First of all, the question was, where does the revenue from the casinos go? Tax-wise, whatever. Well, the current casinos have contracts with the state, and currently both of the casinos, the Cherokee and the Catawba, give 6% to the state. And they talk about all the good that they're going to do with that money, but like happens with the lottery, it's not new money. It's money that is used to gamble instead of buying groceries. On the personal effect. On the business effect, instead of this money going to education, to add to the pot of education, it's instead of taking the money from the general budget. So it's a replacement of, not in addition to. And the same thing, Glenn had a better explanation when I was trying to explain it to him. He made it made sense to me. But it's not new money. So, and this is part of what the House and the Senate are arguing about. Well, we get this tax revenue, and we can put it towards education, or we can put it towards reducing income tax, or we can do this. But it's taking money, it's paying Peter, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Mm-hmm. It's not new money.
And up in the Connecticut area, where there were two casinos that opened up, yes, that state cut went to upgrading the roadways that went to the casinos, upgrading the fire departments nearby the casinos, upgrading all of the infrastructure near the casinos for the benefit of the casinos, not for the benefit of the general public.
Right. So according to the agreement that they have with the state, the payments from the tribes, they go directly into an account called the Indian Gaming Education Revenue Fund. And then the State Board of Education gets to allot those funds to the local school administrators in the state. And that's according to General Statute 143C-9-7. And in quotes, it indicates that that money shall be expended for classroom teachers, assistants, classroom materials, supplies, and/or textbooks.
But don't we currently have a lot of, I'm going to say the cards, the gambling cards, where all that money was supposed to go into the education fund? How much of it actually went into the education fund?
I don't know, but that number started out, I think it's 17%, and I don't.
It's never made it.
Yeah, I think it's 10% or no more.
But in addition to the revenue, what the tribe is required to do with their revenue is they fund their government operations and programs. They fund general welfare to the tribe and its members, to promote tribal economic development, to donate to tribal charitable organizations, and to help fund operations of their local government agencies.
They really have, they're zeroing in on that. You know, folks, I think we're going to take a quick break, an early break, but I'm going to guarantee we're coming right back to the same topic.
Torque Transmission and Automotive Repair is the transmission physician in the New Bern area. If you're experiencing transmission problems, call Charles Grover at 252-637-2399 or stop by the shop on 17 South in New Bern. Torque can install a new or reconditioned transmission, or they can rebuild your transmission if that's what you prefer. See Torque for a variety of minor automotive repairs like brakes, tune-ups, and water pump. You can count on Torque Transmission and Automotive Repair.
Hey folks, here's a tip. When you think firearms and ammo, think East 70 Palm. They've been on Highway 70 east of New Bern across from the fairgrounds for 31 years. Drew Preston and his staff know firearms. Gun sales have tripled in under a year, and women shooters are the fastest growing part of their business. Their great inventory, over 300 guns in stock, changes daily. And if you want something they don't have, they'll look for it. New and used, rifles, shotguns, and pistols. Buy, sell, or trade. And they also have many holsters, scopes, and other gun accessories. Every member of the staff is deeply knowledgeable, and every one of them is an excellent shooter. So don't just come for the inventory. Come for the thoughtful advice. East 70 Palm, your home for firearms, ammo, and answers. Highway 70 East, New Bern, across from the fairgrounds.
For news, commentary, and a different perspective, check out rightwinggranny.com. Hey, Granny's got it going on. See for yourself. Go to rightwinggranny.com.
Moore's Old Time Barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over hickory in the tradition of the Moore's family for over 70 years. Moore's also serves fried chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade side dishes. Open 7 days a week in New Bern, Winterville, Morehead City, Swansboro, and Jacksonville. Moore's will cater and deliver anywhere you want your truly traditional barbecue and fixings delivered. And remember, if it's not Moore's, it's less.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Kim, I'm going to go right back to you.
Okay, to finish off where the tribal money goes, each tribe has their own foundation to which it must allocate funds every year. And the Cherokees have a fund called Cherokee Preservation Foundation, which began in the year 2000. And the Catawbas have their own foundation called Catawba Nation Foundation. And in both cases, the payments have ranged from $5 to $7.6 million a year. So it's a substantial amount of money that they're going in to preserve their own culture. And the casinos, they don't have to report their revenue the same way that a licensed or other regulated business does because they are a sovereign nation. But however, in the past, their Office of Budget and Finance reported that the Horizon Cherokee has over a $400 million annual income. And it's the largest resort, the casino in North Carolina so far. So those are the basic uses of where that revenue goes. But another site said that depending on the income, that there is also an avenue for disbursement to the actual tribe. So that's my next rabbit hole to go down.
I would wonder, and I say this as someone who has no clue, is there a Cherokee Indian reservation in North Carolina?
Well, it's split between North and South Carolina, basically.
Okay.
It's right out by Cherokee as
Yes.
a town.
And
So there's a small portion of it is in our state, so the answer would be yes.
Because my question would be, okay, the Cherokee Gambling Casino has been in operation for a number of years. What impact has that had on the standard of living of that tribe? That would be an interesting rabbit hole to go down.
But again, are we talking about more Indian-controlled gambling casinos?
No,
Or we're talking about
that's the next area. The casinos that are projected, short of the Lumbee tribe, because I don't know how they will be impacted, but they would be commercially developed by one single developer on non-tribal lands. So law-wise, I would think we have to change some laws.
One of the things that happened in New Jersey when Atlantic City opened up to gambling and Donald Trump went in there with his gambling casinos, he had an agreement with the state of New Jersey that a certain amount of the revenue would be taxed and go to the state. Well, then the state made an agreement with the Indian tribes and brought a couple of Indian casinos in there. And the Indian casinos had a totally different agreement where they didn't have to pay anywhere near as much to the state as the Trump casinos did. And then they raised the amount of taxes on the Trump casinos, and they essentially drove him out of business. And, the problem with states, and I hate to say this, is that they tend to get greedy. The tax rate may be at 5% or whatever when they build the things. But they may look at it a year down the road and say, these guys are making an awful lot of money. Maybe we should raise their taxes to 10%.
Right.
So you have no guarantee of success for these casinos. Who's going to pay for building the casinos? What about the real estate taxes involved? There are a whole lot more questions than there are answers.
Correct. And if you look at the map of where these counties are, I also have a concern for the Indian, for the reservation themselves, because everybody gets off on this politically correct social justice thing. Well, my opinion is the Indians have suffered greatly under our founding and our foundations. And I see, just looking at the map, that if they do these new casinos, it could literally put the two that are furthest to the west out of business. Because if you can drive anywhere else in the state quicker, and if you're going for a vacation or I kind of look at a casino like I look at going to the amusement park. Mm-hmm. It's fun to do once a year, and I can afford to spend the money once a year because I know I'm going to lose it. But if just looking at the impact of what this would be, it looks to me that
that's going to put Cherokee out of business.
Well,
it's going to be hard to get to, and you'll be discouraged because you don't want to spend the extra time going there.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I said, I look at it like an amusement park. It's something fun to do once a year where you're going to blow a lot of money, but you're going to have some fun, and then you're going to go home and save your money and do it once a year, not drive 20 miles.
Yeah.
We consider ourselves a business-friendly state, I believe. So the question is, what are these casinos producing?
Oh, nothing but money for the owners. I mean, they're not producing a good.
And no matter, if you look at all of the participants that go to the casinos, they come out total overall with less money than what they went in with.
So the community benefit comes out in the form of restaurant business, there'll be typically hotel space directly at these casinos and but it will generate some new services business, right? Won't make anything. And I've always been of the opinion, you can only sell so much insurance. Services do not generate, they make money, but they do not generate
A product.
that brings value.
And you,
I'm looking at this map, and I'm looking at Rocky Mount between Charlotte and Fayetteville and up by Greensboro. And you're right, the eastern part of the state is not going to go to Cherokee.
Right.
Yeah.
well, it's like that they're going to.
And there again, if you look at the western part of the state, just from a tourist issue, it's been a destination place.
Yes.
And that's part of why the casinos was a good location for them. If you're going to Asheville, you can drive another hour and go to the casino, but then you can still do the mountains, you can still do the Biltmore, you can still do the wineries. It's a destination. These other places, it seems like that would be the only thing there. It's not going to be there for the parks or for the business. And in the rally that was held on Tuesday,
September 6th.
okay,
I think it
I
was.
watched the entire rally that WRAL had on and listened to all of the speakers. And there were all kinds of different opinions, everything from the cultural impacts to the moral religious impacts to the economic impacts, talking about the draft of the construction from this, I can't remember the name of the company that's going to be the developer. But they talk about entertainment districts. Are you familiar with that?
No.
That's a new term for me. But they talk about they were going to build 2 5-star hotels and a bunch of restaurants and a bunch of retail outlets and up to 1,000 new homes and all these jobs. Talking about this is what they were going to do and that's why you should let us come because look how good it's going to be. And this gentleman says, yeah, well, who wouldn't want that for their community? And it's been shared on Facebook and it's all over the place. And well, why wouldn't we want that? But then in reading the draft proposal, none of that stuff is listed there. So it's like they're promising all of these things, but there's no teeth in there to make it happen.
Also, we need to remember, and I hate to say this, we are in something of a recession with rising interest rates, making it harder to get mortgages and making mortgages more expensive. So I don't know that you can necessarily count on all that expansion.
I want to bring up a real aside. Here we are in New Bern, and I don't know how many of you are aware of a discussion that was going on called the Bermuda Triangle. We have Middle Street and whatever else that has some very, very nice restaurants and some street cafes and whatever else. And just a few blocks away, there's a couple of breweries. So the Bermuda Triangle, they were trying to create that corridor, which is all residential, between the breweries and the downtown area. They were trying to make that a public drinking area that you could drink going back and forth. It sounds an awful like they're doing the same thing with this casino thing. We're going to bring in the casino and you can have all this, but guess what? Guess what comes with it? Yeah. That's an aside.
Well, one of the comments was from a realtor, and she indicates that statistics from other existing places show that property values will go down, crime and substance abuse and gambling addiction will go up. And her quote is, everyone has a choice, but do you want to set people up for disaster or have a part in making our state a better place to live? And she also criticized the county commissioners. Their planning board voted not to allow the rezoning.
Rockingham County.
Yes, Rockingham County. And they defeated it, but the county commissioners overrode them 5-0. And the planning board said, no, we don't think that this is a good idea. Well, the sheriff, Sam Page of Rockingham County, he said that it's a bad idea. Statistics of the sheriffs all over the place have said this is a bad idea. And he proposes that the General Assembly does a referendum and let the people vote. And I think that is the best option because those are the people who are going to be the most impacted. They're the ones that are going to live there day to day. And his quote that was incredible to me, he says, "I think of we the people. When I think of we the people in our Constitution, it lets me know who I work for. I work for the people. Our elected officials work for the people. We should never forget that." I thought that was an amazing...
Public servant who understands what he does for a living.
Understands who he's responsible to. And again,
Yes.
he's a person that is not overlording us, but he is a person who is responsible to us.
There's another quote that came out of this discussion from a Doug Isley, a resident of Rockingham County. "Beyond the human impact, the social cost of gambling from increased crime and the burdens on the healthcare system to increase welfare and other entitlement costs, as described in numerous studies over the years, could easily outweigh the savings to the taxpayers." This is not a win for the residents of North Carolina. This is taking on responsibility and burdens that we don't need to take on.
And this Isley, he's a resident of Rockingham County, but he is a former school board member, and he also served on the Rockingham Planning Board. So this is not just a Joe, average public on the street. He's informed.
Yes.
I think I'm not sure if we're going to come back to this or not, but we'll find out at the end of this. Please stand by for our supporters and sponsors of this show, and thank you for staying with us. This is CCTA Wake Up Call.
People who learn to do something well and do it often get very good at it. Dr. Jay Singleton and his staff spend a lot of time removing cataracts, and they are good at it. Dr. Singleton has been doing a high volume of these procedures for 15 years. Let's face it, once we turn 50, the chances are we'll soon need cataract surgery. Fortunately, the Singleton Vision Center is conveniently located at 3515 Trent Road in New Bern, and the state-of-the-art Singleton Surgery Center is bringing costs down for patients and participating insurance companies. For dedication, experience, and convenience, you can trust the Singleton team. Dr. Jay Singleton and the Singleton Vision Center is conveniently located at 3515 Trent Road in New Bern.
Since 1952, the North Carolina Fisheries Association has been working to ensure access for fishermen and consumers to enjoy fresh local seafood. The North Carolina Fisheries Association is for fair, science-based fisheries management for commercial and recreational fishermen. If you agree with this philosophy, become a member. For more information, log on to ncfish.org. For fresh North Carolina seafood, there's no better place than B&J Seafood, Highway 70 East in New Bern. For news, commentary, and a different perspective, check out rightwinggranny.com. Hey, Granny's got it going on. See for yourself. Go to rightwinggranny.com.
At Professional Auto Service, keeping vehicles in top form and running well isn't just their business. It's the passion of folks who work there. If baling wire and duct tape is good enough, don't go near them. But if you take pride in your vehicle and reliability is important, go to 2215 Country Club Road in New Bern and let Professional Auto take care of your vehicle. You'll be pleased. That's Professional Auto Service, Country Club Road, New Bern.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for hearing from our sponsors. Mary?
I'd like to talk a little bit about a news story that showed up in the New York Times. And it seems like some of the investigation going on in Congress has proved that the news story was a lie. It was planted by the FBI, and it was put there to discredit Rudy Giuliani and to just generally discredit the whole scandal that is going on around the Biden administration. And these were emails that were gotten through a Freedom of Information Act by the Heritage Foundation, and they were shared with the Federalist. The story is on the Federalist if you want to go find it. And The New York Times in December 11, 2020, headlined an article, "Material from Giuliani spurred a separate Justice Department pursuit of Hunter Biden." That is garbage. There was no Rudy Giuliani leak. The FBI leaked to, and what's his name? Weiss. David Weiss, is that his name? I think so.
Oh, that's the prosecutor on Hunter Biden, isn't it?
Yes, they leaked to him. Yeah, David Weiss, and to the New York Times, so that the story made the front page of the New York Times. And everybody believed that the investigation into Hunter Biden was bogus. It was politically motivated by Rudy Giuliani, none of which was true. And why is the Department of Justice leaking false information to the New York Times?
Because it fit the narrative. It was about destruction of Trump, and as Giuliani is a major supporter of Trump.
So we have an FBI right now that is totally compromised.
I would say at the upper levels.
I think we'd take a secret ballot here and it'd come out unanimous, yeah?
Yeah.
That's
Because you have a complicit media. You've got somebody
Yes.
who to advance the agenda, and the agenda was always to discredit Trump and Giuliani and anybody else who supported him. I would ask, when Trump was being impeached before and when Bill Clinton was being impeached before it, they always said, who knew what when? I want to know when David Weiss knew this and why he's being quiet on it.
now, you may be too young to remember this,
Thank you.
but if you compare the way the media handled the Watergate scandal versus the way they're handling the Joe and Hunter Biden scandal, it is night and day. The media, the Washington Post and the New York Times at the time, every day were screaming, impeach Richard Nixon, impeach Richard Nixon, impeach Richard Nixon. Somehow I haven't heard that at all. And that's a little scary.
Well, it's not scary to me because I don't think Kamala is anywhere near presidential ready. And if we impeach Mr. Biden, that's who we got.
I know. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I'm not sure,
I think she's as scary as he is.
if not more so. I agree with you on that. But by the same token, has he committed crimes, or does it seem that he has committed crimes that deserve impeachment?
Well, I think we should be looking at impeachment of other people, actually. Why aren't we impeaching David Weiss, who let the statute of limitations run out on some of the charges against Hunter Biden when they knew 2 years in advance that this was not the case?
Why aren't we impeaching, who's the head of the FBI right now?
Right.
Why aren't we impeaching Christopher Wray?
Or the Department of Justice leader.
Yeah. I mean, how long can we exist without a justice system?
Well,
Because
are
right
they-
now we don't have one.
But are they out to destroy any enemy, or are they out to protect themselves at every cost? Right
Yes.
now, yes. The answer is yes. Okay, both.
And it's interesting to me. Now, today there are a couple of attorney generals in states filed to keep Trump off the ballot based on the 14th Amendment because he led an insurrection. Well, first of all, I don't know if we've ever had an insurrection without any guns involved. That's a whole other question.
But all of the riots under Black Lives Matters, what was that?
That was different.
Oh,
But the thing that gets me, they're working so hard to try to keep Trump out of office and off the ballot, which convinces me that he is a serious threat to the corruption. And maybe that alone is a reason that people should vote for him. And I'm not saying I support a candidate because CCTA is nonpartisan, but I'm just saying that maybe we need to look behind the curtain a little bit to try to figure out why they are going after this man so vigorously. because it is frightening. And if you can turn the whole government on one person, what can they do to John Q. Public, who doesn't have the money to defend himself?
I think the whole thing is related to control and power, and we could take this to a different topic of COVID and the government control. They controlled us through fear. Now, as far as these politicians go, they're going to control them by, you better sit down and shut up, because if you speak up, this is the consequence. We will destroy you. We will primary you. We will bankrupt you. Can you imagine how much money Giuliani, of his own money, he doesn't have a campaign war chest to pay his legal fees.
Nor did General Flynn.
General Flynn. And where's the civil litigation on that
We
side?
saw this before with Bob McDonnell. I don't know if you remember Bob McDonnell. He was the governor of Virginia. And it was Jack Smith who prosecuted him, got a guilty verdict, got him convicted. The case went to the Supreme Court, and it was overturned unanimously. Unfortunately, in the process, it ruined Bob McDonnell's career. And if we continue to let lawfare, which is what this is, ruin people's careers, guess what? Lawfare will continue. And I hate to say this, but if this works against Trump, we will never see a conservative successfully be a candidate, because they will understand, now we know how to destroy them. We can do this, and no one will stand up.
They're still going after people from the January 6th.
Yes.
There was some stuff on the news today about someone that
The Proud Boys.
Wasn't even there.
Convicted, yeah.
well
20
that
years.
22-year sentence, more than murderers get, yes.
And he wasn't even there.
Well, and there was another one where I think the person was there, but I mean, this just happened in the last few days, and I can't quote the details, but you know, they're still out there, and what do they get out of that? They get some news, and they get fear that don't step out of line, you know, and they continue to do this and persecute people just to make sure people know, hey, we don't forget. You don't get out of line.
Sit down and shut up, or else.
Don't cross this line, yes.
Now, I'm going to totally change the subject. I came across a story last week. I am not a scientific person at all. And I came across this, and I was surprised by it. And it was a warning put out to people during the recent hurricane in Florida, that if you have an electric car and you expose that car to salt water, the lithium battery can catch fire and your whole car can go up. They also said that applies to scooters and golf cars also. So if you have your golf car parked in your garage and salt water gets in there, your whole house can burn down. That's a little frightening. I don't think they put that in the owner's manual.
Wait a minute. Is the battery that's in our phone, isn't that a lithium battery?
It is a lithium battery, yes. And there have been airlines that have come down because lithium batteries broke it into flame. And I know there's I'm trying to think of not the OSHA qualification for batteries now, shipping batteries, that you can't do them in aircraft in certain quantities.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have this current push for electric vehicles. What about consumer safety? I mean, that doesn't sound very safe to me. Now, I don't know if regular water is the same problem, but evidently salt water is. And if you live near the ocean and you're in a place prone to hurricanes where salt water might wash in, that could be a mess.
I would think it would be a design issue. I would think that lithium battery should be sealed to the point that salt water wouldn't be able to get into it.
Well, I think one of the problems there, and I agree with that. You know, again, having spent some time on the fire department or whatever else, if you come up on a car fire, a car fire or an electric vehicle is now very, very different than a car fire dealing with a gas tank or whatever else. I mean, gas tanks now are very levy sensitive. They don't want you boiling liquid vapors exploding now. And an electric vehicle, I mean, even if the car is stopped dead still and in pieces, you still have an electrical hazard right there, as well as potential fire hazard right there. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a new age. Sorry.
Yeah, and if you have an accident between two electric cars, you have a hazmat situation. I mean, it's insane. This has not been well thought through.
You know, folks, I think we're going to take another quick break right now and hear from our sponsors, and thank you for staying with us.
Torque Transmission and Automotive Repair is the transmission physician in the New Bern area. If you're experiencing transmission problems, call Charles Grover at 252-637-2399 or stop by the shop on 17 South in New Bern. Torque can install a new or reconditioned transmission, or they can rebuild your transmission if that's what you prefer. See Torque for a variety of minor automotive repairs like brakes, tune-ups, and water pump. You can count on Torque Transmission and Automotive Repair.
For news, commentary, and a different perspective, check out rightwinggranny.com. Hey, Granny's got it going on. See for yourself. Go to rightwinggranny.com.
The God and Country Christian Alliance has a simple mission, but it is a profound one. They want to inform and educate the public on issues of moral and political concern. They want to restore the Judeo-Christian values upon which this nation was founded to all levels of government. And they want to encourage and activate pro-family voters. Simple, but not easy. The God and Country Christian Alliance meets the third Monday of every month at Moore's Barbecue on MLK in New Bern. Meetings begin promptly at 7 p.m. and end by 8:30. To enjoy dinner with the group before the meeting, arrive between 6 and 6:30. Both the food and the company are good. Meetings include speakers and discussion, and their annual banquets are legendary. Join them on the third Monday of each month for a refreshingly candid view of the world and our place in it.
Just who are these people doing this CCTA program? They're people like you, a photographer, someone that ran their own business, someone retired from the military. Just people in the community that love this country and have a desire to do their part to lower taxes and shrink government, to protect individual liberty, and to preserve the U.S. Constitution and free enterprise system. We welcome you to come out to a meeting. If you like what you see and hear, there's a place where you can contribute to the cause. To learn more, go to cctaxpayers.com. That's cctaxpayers.com. The group meets every third Tuesday at Stanley Hall Ballroom in downtown New Bern to enjoy a fantastic speaker and report on CCTA activities since the last meeting. If you've been disappointed with rising taxes and government intrusion, don't just complain. Join Coastal Carolina Taxpayers Association and make your voice heard.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Mary, you're going to change
I
topics?
want to talk a little bit about the First Amendment, which is what protects us in terms of free speech. And we need to understand that not all countries have the First Amendment, and be grateful for the wisdom of our founding fathers giving it to us. Now, recently, there was a lawmaker in Finland, and I'm going to totally murder her name, Päivi Räsänen, who was accused of agitation against a minority group because she posted a Bible verse online. Now, I believe that the Bible verse that she posted had something to do with a traditional view of marriage. She was dragged into court, and the first time she was tried, the verdict was that she was innocent. But they dragged her back. I don't know quite how they did that, but they did it. And they're waiting for a verdict now. She was acquitted at one point, but now they've decided that she must be punished, and they had another hearing. And all she did, during a radio program, I guess, she upheld the biblical view of marriage as being between one man and one woman. And now she is facing jail. That's horrible, and I'm grateful for the First Amendment. Now, the other thing we want to talk about is...
Well, wait a minute. You're grateful for the First Amendment. Where does the First Amendment apply? I mean, our news right here doesn't allow the First Amendment to apply to anybody.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm going to go astray and say Harvard University
Oh, yes.
was just declared the least likely to allow free speech of any university. The very least likely is Harvard University.
Our universities have a problem with the concept of free speech.
Okay, now I'm going to let you go on
I
somewhere else.
will grant you that.
So we're on the slippery slope, is the point made.
Yes, and we don't want to be there. Okay. Customs and Border Protection flagged 74,904 illegal migrants nationwide for potentially posing risks to national security between October 22 and August 2023. Now, these are not necessarily terrorists, but they're saying these people have travel patterns that possibly have a nexus to terrorism or may come from countries with such ties to terrorism. Now, out of 74,904 illegals flagged for possible terrorism, do you think there might be a terrorist?
One or two, maybe. Yeah, right.
Now, this compares to 3,675 in 2021.
Well, how can that be? Joe told us that the borders are closed.
He did.
Mayorkas did, too.
He didn't. He did. You're right.
Yeah, we've been told that. We should believe that, yeah.
Well, what is concerning in addition to the fact that we've got all of these illegals crossing the border, but here again, going back to COVID or any other transmittable disease, these people are not vetted for vaccination compliance, and they are let go to go wherever they want in our country. We don't know where they've gone, who they've been in contact with. If they're a terrorist, we don't know. But we're setting ourselves up for another 9/11. And I would be fearful that they're setting up what is called sleeper cells in different locations around the country, and they will unite when they build up the numbers that they need. I just don't understand why this country sends our blood, sweat, tears, assets, and our children to fight a war in Ukraine to protect their borders when we can't protect our own.
The other part of it, too, many years ago, and this was fiction, I read a story, and I think it was Tom Clancy, it might not have been, about a woman in Africa who contracted AIDS. And the terrorists somehow got a hold of her. And they managed to somehow save the germs and broadcast them into a convention of Americans. Aerosol the bacteria and send it through the heating system of a large convention of Americans. What's to say that some of these people coming across the border aren't carrying tuberculosis, aren't carrying diseases that we have not seen for a long time? What's to say they're not carrying measles or mumps or the things that we have protected our kids from? And there's no proof of that.
Right.
You know.
When you have an open border, you don't get to control who or what enters your home.
And this country was built on immigrants, but it was built on immigrants who came here to build the country. When you have a social safety net that is ridiculously generous, You can't have an open border without bankrupting the country, and we're seeing that in our major cities.
Which goes to New York, and the mayor saying that the illegal immigrants were going to destroy New York City. And it's funny when you look back at all of the years past where all the sanctuary city legislation went through, and when Eric Adams has tried to stop some of these things that they're having to do, it's because of laws that they put in place to support the illegals.
Well, it's easy to be a sanctuary city when the illegals are in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, and you're in New York. I mean, it's not a problem. Remember what happened when they landed on Martha's Vineyard.
Well,
I mean, they couldn't wait to get them off.
It's also, New York didn't have a problem as long as they got federal dollars coming with the illegals. But now the federal dollars are not coming with the illegals. So all of a sudden, it's become a problem. We're still a sanctuary city, but we're not getting what we need or what we deserve, quote, deserves.
And are any statistics coming out about increases in crime?
Oh, the crime has been out of control for a number of years because nobody is enforcing laws. But what has happened is some of the nicer hotels in New York City have been taken over by the illegals who have no respect for the property of other people, and it's a mess.
Well, can you explain to me why we have a homelessness problem in New York that we can't handle, but we can handle the immigrants?
Yeah.
Can you explain
We
that?
have
Or even act like it's a problem. I mean, let's face it, the organic homelessness never reached this level of problem. It's the illegals that raises it to a level of concern.
And how many Vietnam veterans are homeless, sleeping on the streets, while illegals are given hotel rooms?
Yeah.
Or again, you're looking at the school systems or whatever else where the local children have to be vaccinated, but the immigrants, the illegal immigrants, let's not look that way. Let's not worry about vaccinations.
But you must educate them.
You must educate them, yes. You must accept them into the school system.
Do we have time for one more issue?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to fasten your seatbelts, guys, because Saudi Arabia and Russia agreed Tuesday to extend their voluntary oil production cuts through the end of the year. Now, oil has gone above, crude oil, Brent crude, is now above $90 a barrel in trading, which it has not been that high since November. This is the price we pay for the Biden administration's reversal of President Trump's energy policies. When we were energy independent, if Saudi Arabia and Russia cut their oil production, we could easily make it up. Now we are back to the 70s where we are at their mercy. And if we are not careful, we are going to be living with a situation where we have gas lines again, or people can't afford to fill up their tanks. This is an attack on our freedom, and it's an attack on our freedom by the Biden administration. It's a knowing attack. We do not have the worldwide respect now that we had under President Trump, and we are like a yo-yo with other people yanking us around. And until we get back to our own energy independence, this is going to add to inflation and curtail our freedom.
And it's with our lowest oil reserve level
Ever.
in decades. And there was a move to release some exploration drilling out in Alaska over the last several months, but I understand that the administration's putting a block
They
on that.
cut all drilling in Alaska.
So it's crazy.
Yes, it's not good management.
But in order to counteract that, I think our administration is going to take another vacation. So
Yeah.
we know.
Well, his home is under renovation, so he doesn't really have a place to live.
Okay,
Is
now
that because of a kitchen fire?
now, okay, you got just 2 minutes to talk about anything that you want before
Okay.
I'm shutting you down.
I want to talk about two things. First of all, September 18th is the God and Country Christian Alliance 30th Annual Banquet. The guest speaker is Dale Falwell. It's at the Havelock Tourist and Event Center. The doors open at 5:30. The program starts at 6:30. To get your tickets, you can go to godandcountrync.org. Tickets are $25. It's a good dinner, and it's a great event. I've been to many of them. They are fantastic.
And Dale Falwell, by the way, is our current state treasurer.
Yes, and he's done an awesome job. And the other event I want to mention is September 19th, downtown New Bern, the Stanley Hall Ballroom. The CCTA public meeting with guest speaker Letitia Grady of Cryptocurrency Management. And she is going to talk to us about cryptocurrency and the ins and outs of it and how it works and how the government is involved and how the government isn't involved. And I don't know about you, but I am very ignorant on cryptocurrency. And I am looking forward to this because I'm looking forward to learning what I need to know to protect myself with what is coming. Because unfortunately, if the government takes over cryptocurrency, that will be total control of everything we do.
I think that's going to be a wrap for the show. And the only last thing that I want to add is, folks, our current deficit is around $2 trillion even. So enjoy your day. And thank you for staying with us. CCTA Wake Up Call. We appreciate your being here. Thank you.
At Professional Auto Service, keeping vehicles in top form and running well isn't just their business, it's the passion of folks who work there. If bail and wire and duct tape is good enough, don't go near them. But if you take pride in your vehicle and reliability is important, go to 2215 Country Club Road in New Bern and let Professional Auto take care of your vehicle. You'll be pleased. That's Professional Auto Service, Country Club Road, New Bern.
Moore's Old Time Barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over hickory in the tradition of the Moore's family for over 70 years. Moore's also serves fried chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade side dishes. Open 7 days a week in New Bern, Winterville, Morehead City, Swansboro, and Jacksonville. Moore's will cater and deliver anywhere you want your truly traditional barbecue and fixings delivered. And remember, if it's not Moore's, it's less.
The County Compass is a rapidly growing, free weekly newspaper throughout eastern North Carolina. At the County Compass, we believe small business is the future of our great nation. Many small business owners have discovered that an ad in the County Compass each week is the most effective, the most affordable way to reach thousands of readers from all walks of life. At the County Compass, we focus entirely on local and regional news, coverage of important issues that directly affect your life. At the County Compass, we love our readers and we love our advertisers. This Thursday and every Thursday at more than 750 distribution points throughout eastern North Carolina, pick up your free copy of the County Compass newspaper.
Since 1952, the North Carolina Fisheries Association has been working to ensure access for fishermen and consumers to enjoy fresh local seafood. The North Carolina Fisheries Association is for fair, science-based fisheries management for commercial and recreational fishermen. If you agree with this philosophy, become a member. For more information, log on to ncfish.org. For fresh North Carolina seafood, there's no better place than B&J Seafood, Highway 70 East in New Bern. For news, commentary, and a different perspective, check out rightwinggranny.com. Hey, Granny's got it going on. See for yourself. Go to rightwinggranny.com.